And luckily, that's with Social Security, um, which Donald Trump is, and Doge, which we'll get there, is dismantling that right currently. Um, which of the following best matches your religious affiliation? I put non-religious. I would put more Christian than anything, but I don't follow the Christian beliefs because I know religion is an excuse to manipulate people who are going through hard times and they're looking for a way out, and the church pretends to be a way out or to offer, some sort of guidance, but I don't trust religious institutions. They're pretty corrupt and they need to be taxed. Um, for statistical purposes, what is your household income? Since I'm on Social Security, it's definitely less than 20 grand. I cannot live off of Social Security alone. Luckily, my mom has a great job, but prices are still going up, and it feels like even with her promotions, she hasn't got a promotion. But we are still okay. We're doing better off than a lot of people. If the election for Texas State Senate were held today, who would you vote for? And I put the Democrat candidate because Republicans, no, they're religious, insane maniacs. When it comes to elections for state offices in Texas, would you say, and I put always vote for Democrats, which I don't fully. Oh, you know what? I should switch that. I'm glad I came back to it. I should put usually vote for Democrats, but sometimes vote Republicans. That's why I didn't switch because it says sometimes vote for Republicans. So no, this is one of those things, the questions where it manipulates you. Because it says always vote for Democrats. I don't agree. I am far more complex than what this survey is telling me that I am. I don't like polls, but it is what it is. So always vote for Democrats, which I don't agree. I'm definitely against AOC's vote blue no matter who, even though she has my support if she runs for presidency. That's just an idiot quote that she put out there, and it was made out of fear. Oh, I forgot to look this up. There's someone that I skipped. Colin Alred. Who is Colin Alred? I've heard the name before. Let's see. Colin Alred. There you are. A football person? Why do I care about a football person? It says it's an American politician, but I guess he's running for Senate. No, I didn't. I know nothing about him because I don't watch football. I don't like the sport. So yeah, so never heard of him. That's what I'm gonna put. But since he's running for office, I guess I am gonna have to look into him. Greg Abbott, very unfavorable because of stuff I mentioned and haven't mentioned. Um, Ken Paxton, somewhat unfavorable, only because he's tied to Greg Abbott and he is part of the Republican Party. But I do know very little of him, even though I did do research when I did vote, which you can find the video of how what research I did on the candidates that I voted for. Um, Beto O'Rourke is somewhat unfavorable, but he's better than Greg Abbott. Donald Trump, very unfavorable. I can't explain why. Elon Musk, very unfavorable. Democratic Party in Texas, neutral, just because Republicans kind of control pretty much everything. Yes, we have uh, north-like cities like San Antonio or Austin, but I mean, it's a red state. It's pretty much controlled by Republicans, so no Democrat that has ran in state, and that is including Beto O'Rourke, has wowed me in any way. So, I mean, I don't know. I just, I mean, again, this is me being bedridden where I can't go outside. I have to do my own research and look stuff up myself. I haven't heard any Democrats, so they haven't come across my radar. Beto O'Rourke was the biggest one. Um, and then, of course, I tried to run myself, but after a month of running, my body gave out, so I wasn't able to continue that small little campaign, which really wasn't a campaign, but I was out there putting my name out. Republican Party in Texas, very unfavorable. Can't imagine why. Dan Patrick, I had to look him up. He's a radio person. I don't know what he has to do with this, so I put never heard of him. How favorable are your feelings about each of the following things about groups? The tech CEOs moving to Texas, very unfavorable. I don't like the tech people anyway. For-profit prisons, very unfavorable. Can't imagine why. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, which is something that I learned from uh, that Jubilee. I'm forgetting his name. I'm very bad with names. You know who I'm talking about. Sam Cedar. There he goes. It clicked. Sam Cedar. D E D E DEIA, which most people don't even know what that means. I still have to look it up every time I hear it. Um, it's a stupid concept. It's made to divide and give excuse to being a racist, bigoted person. The renewable energy industry, very favorable because I'm a big climate change fighter. Doge, very unfavorable. It's not even a government agency, and yet it's doing government agency stuff. Billionaire campaign donors, very unfavorable. Cryptocurrency, very unfavorable. It's all a scam. Corporate landlords, I put very unfavorable, but quite literally, it could mean anything. Corporate landlords, like owning an entire uh, rent area, does that make you a corporate landlord? Um, which I think it does. But being unfavor, I'll put somewhat unfavorable, but I would need more. I would need more a defined corporate landlord because that's such a broad thing. So, like another example is here in Texas, HEB. I think they would be known as a corporate landlord, which I'm not against. I love HEB. It's a statewide store, and they help. From the research that I've done, they help the local communities and stuff like that. So it's cool. The fossil fuel industry, very unfavorable. Um, Leaders in Texas should, and I put strongly oppose Donald Trump and do everything to stop his agenda, just because I think everything he talks about is completely wrong. Um, it doesn't mean I'm not, like, if he decides tomorrow, you know what, we're gonna pass universal health care, I'm gonna be like, all right, you do that. Let's get it done. But you know, that's never gonna happen. How well does each of the following describe Democrats in the Texas state legislature? Share my values. I put somewhat well. Again, I don't know a lot of Democrats in Texas, and the ones that I do know, which again, it's going to go straight back to Beto O'Rourke. They're flip floppers, and we're going to get to quotes that they put in here from Democrats that are in Texas, and I just don't like the way they talk. So we'll get there. Too beholden to rich donors and corporations. Yes, somewhat well, because donors, they control both parties. Obviously, the Republicans are far worse and they have far more corruption. It doesn't mean that I accept corruption from the Democrats because it's less. If you can't tell, they're not really fighting the Republicans, and I don't know how they're going to vote on the the funding for the government or what the shutdown, if they're going to plan a shutdown, is going to do, because they have rich friends. So if they shut down, it'll affect their rich friends. If they don't shut down, it'll affect the people. They're in a lose-lose situation. They should choose the people and actually fight and do the shutdown. But that's just my 2 cents. Uh, Too extreme to the left on social issues. I put not well at all because they're not extreme left. They barely fight for us. Um, we barely even get crumbs to what they give us. Care about people like me? Not too well. No, we're nothing but statistics to them. They only care about saying the right flattery words to get our vote, and then they just forget about what they promised. Kind of like Trump, but a lot less evil. How well does each of the following describe Republicans in the Texas state legislature? Care about people like me? Not well at all. Too extreme to the right on social issues? Very well. Too beholden to rich donors and corporations? Very well. Share my values? Not well at all. Which three of the following issues should be the highest priorities for the state of Texas to address? And I get to pick three. I put healthcare and drug costs, economy and job creations, and the cost of living. There's the other options are gun violence, lower property tax, abortion rights, border and immigration, getting money out of politics, Second Amendment protection, racism and discrimination, ending DEI, improve the grid and other infrastructure, crime and public safety, protection from extreme weather, protecting LGBTQ rights, and public K through 12 education funding. So let me explain a few of these. Unfortunately, protecting LGBTQ rights, I would love that. It's far too late. They already have laws in place that are going against this. In fact, I think they recently passed for it's illegal to be transgender. Improve the grid and other infrastructure. Infrastructure, I would agree on. They have improved the grid. I've kept an eye on it. I literally have an app that keeps track of all the detailed information that I need. So I know when blackouts happen, and I know how much energy consumption is being used on the on the power plant. So they have improved on the grid. So that's definitely less on a priority. But I was there when Texas froze, and that was awful. Especially as me bedridden, I had to suffer a few days with no power because we're waiting for the power to kick on and it's not kicking on. So then we had to get a hotel for about a week and a half, and that was expensive.
Son's making a show of it.
Ending wokeism and DEI, don't believe in that because that's just an excuse to be racist. Of course, racism and discrimination right there. Protecting the Second Amendment, nonsensical. Getting money out of politics, I agree, but that is such a daunting task. That would affect everything on this list. Abortion rights, they've already made it illegal. That's why people are leaving South states to go to the North states to have abortions. And that's why the Southern states are trying to criminalize those who cross borders. Lower property taxes. That's a given, but there's so many problems around that needs to be addressed. It's not as simple as just lower the taxes. Gun violence prevention. Unfortunately, I think that's a lost cause as well, just because there are so many guns that there's literally 2 per person of the population that is estimated, and that was a long estimation from a long time ago. I guarantee you that's probably doubled, so it's probably 4 per person. But I'm making that up. I'm just letting you know. How would you rate the way things are going when it comes to the U.S. economy? Poor. Economy in Texas, not so good. The reason why it's above poor is because the way Texas works is we work on cheapness, so we don't have high wages. Like our minimum wage is still 7.25, which is extremely low, but you could still afford stuff with that. Not a home, not to rent, but at least food and, if you need water and stuff like that. So it's still bad, but it's not nearly as bad as like maybe like living in New York where the taxes are like excruciatingly high for people to live in. Uh, your personal financial situation, not so good. Again, I'm doing better than a lot of people, but it is still very tight. Um, these are some things Texas leaders could do to improve people's economic circumstances. Which three of the following are the most important to you? Okay, I was checking the record time. Um, I put make healthcare and health insurance more affordable, make food and groceries less expensive, bring down utility costs. The other options are cut sales tax, more opportunities for people of color, ensure paid leave and affordable childcare, more support for small businesses, bring down home and auto insurance, make it easier to afford rent or buy a home, fewer regulations on businesses, create more jobs in the area, cut property tax, make state colleges less expensive, more support for the oil and gas industry. The first one I disagree with. The rest, you can choose any one of those. They're all pretty equally important. Um, so 25. How likely is it that the U.S. economy will go into a recession in the next year? I put someone likely. It's hard to say. I don't trust Wall Street and its green up and down arrows because that's for rich people. It doesn't explain the people's economy. So it's hard to say. Even if there's a recession, I don't think people will know because things are already too expensive and prices will just go up. Um, and not just that, there's a thing called richflation, which is artificial inflation that rich people are opposing on products, where they're artificially raising the price far above the normal inflation. So prices can come down, but you would need to attack the rich person. Um, a bathroom bill. Oh, wait. Below are proposals from different leaders in Texas. Do you support or oppose each of the following? A bathroom bill that requires transgender individuals to use bathrooms that correspond to the sex on their original birth certificate rather than their current gender identity. I mean, I put not sure, and this is me thinking if things worked properly. Uh, there are legal ways to change your name. Why can't there be legal ways to change your sex? People use the bathroom to go to the bathroom. If you're going to be a sexual predator, you don't need to dress the opposite sex to do the disgusting things that you're about to do. Again, this is an excuse to attack transgender people. Now, I'm not with the LGBTQ people where they say there's like 26 different genders, but if you think you're more of a woman or if you're more of a man than what your current gender is, that doesn't bother me. You do you. If you don't affect my inalienable rights as a human person, I won't affect yours. That's what I believe in. Let bygones be bygones. You can choose to hang out with a person or choose not to. You have the right to do that. It's up to the person. Now, when it comes to businesses, that's a different story because you're providing a good and service to the people. You have to represent all, and it'd be better to represent all because there's more money that way. If you just accept everybody, you make more money because everyone is allowed in. Um, so, required children who attend Texas public schools to be vaccinated for measles. Measles are currently breaking out at the moment, so yes, strongly support. Uh, Passing a law stating that Texas only officially recognizes two unchangeable genders set at birth, male and female. Hold on, let me reread that. Passing a law stating that Texas only officially recognizes two unchangeable genders set at birth, male or female. I put not sure again. Um, Probably because I don't fully understand the question. Let me read it one more time. Passing a law stating that Texas only officially recognizes two unchangeable genders. Now reading that again, okay. I strongly oppose. Because again, there should be a legal process to just say, you know what, I decided to be a man, and here, let me sign the paperwork that I need to. Much like when you change your name. Passing a new state law requires taxpayers funded public schools to set aside time and space for students to prayer. I strongly oppose because I'm a big component of separation of church and state. If you want to look up the Treaty of Tripoli, that is also stated as we will not establish a religion. It's not just the Constitution, it's also in a treaty. Um, Ending taxpayer funded subsidies for the oil and gas industry, strongly support because they don't need it. They make dirty amounts of money. They don't need to make more. There is such thing as having too much of something. A private school voucher program that takes tax dollars away from local public schools to subsidize a student's private school education, strongly oppose. Obvious reasons. The statement explains itself. Banning DEI practices in Texas workplace and schools. I strongly oppose because racism is still alive. It is still kicking. DEI is a protection against that. I understand that it's flawed and that people need to find a new system, but the system that is in place is still needed because the old way of thinking is still here. Donald Trump was born in 1946. He was there during the civil rights movement, women's rights movements, when gay rights finally passed. I think it was 2006, something around there. He was there for all of that, and he was an opponent of all that. Not so much the gay rights issue. I don't know that for sure, but definitely the racism issue, thanks to the newspaper that he had promoted, where he got 3 innocent black people convicted. His Trump Towers banned black people from renting hotels rooms because they didn't look like they could afford it, whether they could or not. His dad is connected to the KKK, so his ideas are still here and prevalent. And now it's being, with a microphone, and now he's in charge of office. Passing a new state law requiring taxpayer-funded public schools to display the Ten Commandments, strongly opposed. Separation of church and state. The state of Texas using taxpayer dollars to purchase the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and create a reserve. No, strongly opposed. It's all a scam. Cryptocurrencies make no sense. The only one that I can almost say is safe is Bitcoin. The rest is a no. And even then, don't recommend putting money in Bitcoin because it's unregulated. You do not know what is going to happen in the future. Ban the sale of consumable hemp products containing THC, even if it limits the medical treatment available for patients like veterans. And I put strongly oppose, especially for me. The reason why I'm able to talk this way and function a little bit as a human being and have a, I guess the best way to put it is a functional brain, is because I smoke. I need it. I have to have it. Without smoking, I lose where I'm at. I get lost in thoughts. I can't concentrate. I get dizzy. So many things wrong with my brain, and I need it. It helps me think straight. In general, should Texas make it easier or harder for renewable energy producers, wind, solar, etc., to get permits to produce energy? And I put stay the same just because I don't know the process. Harder, obviously, not going to happen. And easier, I'm against deregulations, and easier tells me deregulate so that way more renewable energy can come in. So I put stay the same. I don't know the process. So in general, how confident are you in the reliability and safety of cryptocurrency? And I put not at all. Which of the following comes closer to your point of view, even if neither is exactly right? And my input was the bigger problem is that Republicans don't accept LGBTQ plus people and are obsessed with passing laws restricting them. And then, of course, the opposite. I have to read it. The bigger problem is that Democrats are too radical in their views about gender and sexuality, like allowing transgender athletes in girls' sports. Which, let's go ahead and tackle that. Why don't we just have, like, why don't we fully test it? Like, in the Olympics, put one where both man and female, whether they call themselves that or not, just compete with each other. Let's actually have a worldwide science experiment. And I just see a lot of money in that for the Olympics. Now, again, I'm against the Olympics because they do a lot of human rights violations and they're a detriment to wherever they're hosted, whatever country, city. It's horrible. Olympics is horrible. But for the ads and the promoters and stuff like that, I feel like there's a lot more money if you just like, okay, we have male, we have female, and then we have inclusive. Then let the science explain itself. Let's show where, where each person is better at than the other. Let's just do that. I feel like it should be a simple thing. Okay, anyway. Um, Abortion ban. Let me see. Banning diversity. Did I skip? Yeah, I did skip. Okay. Okay. Do you believe the following policies are most helpful or harmful to women in Texas? So, banning DEI practice in workplaces and schools, I put mostly harmful. Abortion bans criminalizing abortion without exceptions for rape or incest, I put mostly harmful. That sentence right there should tell you. Obviously, it's mostly harmful. Why? When you read that sentence, there should be no other option but mostly harmful. Laws banning transgender people from bathrooms and sports, I put mostly harmful. Again, if you're not affecting my inalienable rights, you do you. Some states allow citizens to pass new laws by popular vote through ballot measures. Do you support or oppose allowing Texans to pass laws by popular vote through citizens-initiated ballot measures? Let me read that again, because I put strongly support. Some states allow citizens to pass new laws by popular vote through ballot measures. Do you support or oppose allowing Texas to pass laws by popular vote? Okay, then yes, obviously. Okay, we're barely on question 32. There's a lot. When it comes to Texas, hold on, let me check the time. Okay, I still got time. When it comes to taxes in the state of Texas, Do each of the following groups pay their fair share of taxes? The wealthy, and I put pay less than their fair share of taxes because actually sometimes we owe them taxes. They have a net zero gain, which means what I said. Our taxes go to them. We pay them to have tax write-offs. Uh, my household pays more than their fair share of taxes, which I agree. Large corporations pay less than their fair share of taxes. Below, number 33, below are proposals related to taxes from different leaders in Texas. Do you support or oppose each of the following? Increase state funding for public education so local school districts can cut property taxes. I don't understand this question. I put not sure because I personally don't understand the correlation between public education so it can cut property taxes. Local school districts can cut property taxes. I don't get it. So I'll leave that at not sure. Tax wealthy corporations to pay for tax cuts for the middle class. This one I should put somewhat support, but I put somewhat oppose initially just because our taxes are supposed to help us. They're supposed to help every community. Yes, the people's taxes are too high, but if there should be cuts, it should be very limited, as we should be just getting better wages and our taxes being funded to repair roads, upkeep infrastructure, emergency funds, stuff like that. So I'm not fully in support of cutting taxes for the middle class. Just because if people in the middle class can afford it, they should pay it because it helps everybody. But I understand, like I'm getting scatterbrained right now because right now our taxes are currently causing a genocide and more tax cuts for the rich and stuff like that. So I understand cutting taxes for the middle class and increasing taxes for the rich and stuff like that. Just me thinking logically, this is the system, if it worked, is how it's supposed to run. Where taxes and the government are supposed to help the nation thrive, and that's not happening. Change the threshold for local areas to increase property taxes from a majority of local voters to a 2/3 supermajority of voters. I put not sure. That's a question I don't understand. If you make it this far and you do understand that question, please explain below. But I don't understand it, so I put not sure. All right. Number 34. Governor Abbott wants to change the threshold for local areas to increase property taxes from a simple majority of local voters to a 2/3 majority. Supporters say that property taxes are too high and housing is unaffordable. So we should make it much harder for local jurisdictions to increase property taxes by increasing the threshold for local tax increases to a 2/3 supermajority. This is what the opponents say. That Texas believes in majority rule.
Stay sharp.
Shut up, Aloy. Majority rule, not letting 33% of voters overturn the will of 67% of voters. Most programs Texans rely on are funded locally, and this bill would defund police, hospitals, schools, infrastructure, and more. And this ties in to the question above that we just went over. I'm still not sure. Even with this explanation, I still don't understand it. So I put not sure. These are programs funded by local property taxes. Which two of these are the most important to you? Now, I want you to know this list, they are all extremely equally important. I had to choose two, but I don't choose two. all of them are equally important. So I'm going to read you all of it. Local emergency preparedness and disaster response, local police, firefighters, and first responders, local hospitals and healthcare services, local K through 12 public schools, childcare, and pre-K and pre-K programs, local infrastructures like roads, parks, libraries, and utilities. All of it extremely important. There is no picking two. You have to pick two, but there is no picking two. Do you agree or disagree with each of the following statements? Undocumented immigrants are more likely to commit crimes than American citizens. Statistically, I disagree. Um, Trying to see if there's anything to add there. We are so tied to the economy of the world that now that we're starting to alienate people, it's hurting everybody. But the powerful are causing us to blame the powerless. So, like again, DEI, being anti-gay, anti-les, being against immigrants, that they are already in our economy. Just kicking them out without making any substitutions or, you know, restructuring how the way things are now, just like what Trump is doing, just causing mass chaos, saying I'm going to, tax this, defund that, and whatever, with no plan of replacement. It's only going to hurt. This is what people don't think. They don't think about what's the next 3 steps after this, or what's the contingency plan if this doesn't work out. They don't think. Our border communities are culturally rich, have lower crime rates than the non-border areas, and are essential to our economy, facilitating 655 million in cross-border trade each day. We should not call them war zones. Obviously, I strongly agree. I didn't even know they call them war zones. I know they're called invasions. But yeah, strongly agree. It's important for President Trump's allies in Texas to ensure his tariffs on Mexico don't result in higher prices and a slower economy for Texas. Hold on. It's important for President Trump's allies in Texas to ensure his tariffs on Mexico don't result in higher prices and a slower economy of Texas. Okay, my brain didn't register that. I put strongly agree. Texas is economically and culturally dynamic because of the contributions of immigrants. Again, I agree. They are tied into us. I don't know why we're attacking our allies and destroying our economy. We should replace most government workers with AI chatbots. Obviously, I strongly disagree, especially since, and I know I'm going to get some disagreements there, but I don't think AI is that advanced yet. Yes, they can create, realistic videos and stuff like that, but actual AI learning and chatbots and stuff like that, I don't think it's that advanced. I've been keeping close tabs of AI, and the most advanced one is a AI VTuber called Neurosama. She's the most advanced by far that I've seen. AI is not ready to just be released into the workforce. I mean, I guess that's a way to crash course test, but again, you're replacing workers, which means people lose their money, and when they lose their money, they can't contribute to the economy, and when they can't contribute to the economy, they're a detriment to the economy because the current economy has to subsidize those who are having trouble. Even though it doesn't work correctly, again, because we have a lot of homeless people, especially veterans, but I lost my train of thought. Most government workers with AI chatbots. It needs to be a slow rollout. I guess is what I could say about that. Because right now we just release this AI to the public and anyone can use it, and that's not a good thing. It's causing a lot of havoc. Again, it's just this chaos. It's just doing things, just releasing things. Like I would equate this to like I guess lead paint without properly testing it. They just released it to the public, and we realized that it was causing a lot of people to get cancer and stuff like that. Um, President Trump should be doing more to reduce prices. Obviously, I agree. There is no commentary to be added there. If the federal government cuts Medicaid, uh, veteran benefits, education, or transportation funding, the Texas government needs to fill the gap so Texans don't suffer. I somewhat agree. I somewhat agree. I had to reread that. Just because it's a federal program, Texas should not be subsidizing for the federal's lack of leadership. But I know that both Texas and the federal government are both failing in leadership. Um, Taking a drink. This one's just hard for me because there's so many variables attached to this. So I put somewhat agree. I don't strongly disagree or somewhat disagree or agree. I guess I could put not sure, but I'm still in somewhat of agreement. Just because the state should take care of its own for sure, but like if an emergency happens, you need help of the uh, federal funding, and if they fail, that just means that it's going to cost Texas a lot more, which will affect everything else. So that's where my train of thought is. Would you support or oppose each of the following proposals? Deporting undocumented immigrants, even if they have no criminal history and have been living, working, and paying taxes in the U.S. I strongly oppose. Cutting Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid in order to fund tax cuts for the wealthy and large corporations. Strongly oppose. Hold on, I'm about to burp. Ugh, excuse me. Providing undocumented immigrants a pathway to earn legal status so long as they have no criminal history, have a job, and pay taxes. I strongly support that. These are some concerns that different people on both sides of the aisle have about some recent policies. How concerning are you about each of the following? Mass deportations will mean fewer immigrants working in low-wage jobs in Texas, leading to higher costs for groceries, construction, and more. I put somewhat concerned, but this whole immigration thing is a small rock compared to the avalanche that we are currently dealing with. So, and plus this one's hard for me because I know how so little not just immigrants get paid, but farmers in general get paid. Um, they get paid by the pound, and it was a long time since I read it, but I think it was like 29 cents a pound on a certain product. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and research that. But it was like 29 cents a pound of a certain product that they would get paid for, and it's awful. The farmers get screwed over consistently. And I hate, this is a side note, I hate that Bill Gates owns 80% of our farmland. That sucks. But anyway, leading to higher costs for groceries, construction, and more. Construction's already cheap. Even without immigrants, we're only going to pay because the way construction works is you have to be the lowest bidder of you willing to do the job. So it's already cheap. Materials are already cheap. Well, not anymore, thanks to Trump's tariffs and all that, but it is what it is. Ugh, I'm starting to get tired, but there's still a lot to get through. Um, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Elon Musk and Doge cutting funding for programs at Texas hospitals, schools, food pantries, farmers, and veterans rely on. I put very concerned, obviously. Tariffs on Mexico and Canada will increase prices for groceries, gas, cars, and other goods. Very concerned. As you may know, Texas judges have the discretion to set bail for individuals accused of different crimes, allowing their release on bail or holding them in jail until trial, depending on the circumstances. Do you support or oppose the following proposals? Making it mandatory for Texas judges to deny bail to any undocumented immigrant accused of a felony, holding them in jail until trial, even though they have not been found guilty of any crime. I put strongly oppose. Uh, it's hard for me. Let me see. Let me think about why I chose strongly oppose. Make it mandatory for Texas judges to deny bail to any undocumented immigrant, holding them in jail until trial. I mean, this goes to the small concentration camps that we had here in the South. I don't know if they're still there. They might be. They might not be. When Trump was splitting up the families and stuff like that. Um, I don't know. I'm stumped on this one. I disagree with them holding them in jail until trial. You know what? I'm gonna put not sure. I actually don't know. Rethinking my answers and rereading the question, I actually don't know. I have no idea. Making it mandatory for Texas judges to deny bail to anyone with a prior felony convicted who is accused of a violent crime. I put somewhat support just because I know that the police lie. Shocker, I know. Police lie. They falsely accuse and they over exaggerate what happened, and they place false evidence and stuff like that. So I put somewhat support just because if they are proven to be a felon and a convicted criminal, then yes, you should hold them. But a lot of people on death row don't belong there. There's been many times where death row inmates proven themselves innocent, and sometimes they still don't. They still go through the death penalty. I think there was one that was still going through the death penalty recently, even though he proved his innocence. But yeah, we just lock up so many innocents, and I don't fully support denying bail to prior felon convictions because I need proof that they are proven a felon and not accused and having questionable evidence used against them. All right, let's move on. As you may know, Governor Abbott is proposing a taxpayer-funded private school voucher program. Below are reasons some people say they are concerned about a private school voucher program. Which two of the following reasons are the most concerning to you, or are none of these concerning to you? And I put, it defunds local public schools, meaning larger classes, school closures, lower teacher pay, and worse educational outcomes. And it will harm rural Texans, which doesn't have private schools and is most reliant on public schools. Do you agree or disagree with the following statements? Every parent, no matter what beliefs, should have the freedom to decide what religious values they share with their child. That is why politicians can't require public schools to display religious text, even ones we personally agree with. Again, this goes with my argument of separation of church and state. So that's an obvious. I strongly agree. Schools are meant for education, not religious instruction. That's the rule of the churches. I'm going to put somewhat agree. I do strongly agree, but the reason why I'm dumbing it down is because you can teach the history on the religious texts. Um, like, I would love in school to learn about the Quran or um, a Japanese religion. Um, I would like I'm just fascinated with world cultures. I'm very pro component of DEI, but like, Black Myth Wukong, I learned so much about the Chinese religion and it was so fascinating to me. Um One of my all-time favorite games, Azura's Wrath, Indian gods. Um it, I'm just fascinated with other people's cultures. So I would love to learn that. So in reality, I strongly agree, but I'm dumbing it down. Decreasing it to somewhat agree, just because you can teach the history of it, just don't tell people what to believe in. In order to protect everyone's religious freedom, it is important for Texas to maintain the separation of church and state, as the U.S. Constitution says. I strongly agree, obviously. These are concerns some people have about the proposals like displaying the Ten Commandments and requiring school prayers time in public school in Texas. How concerned are you with the following? Establish government mandated prayer time in public schools opens the door to government involvement in religious practices. Churches and families should be in charge of religious instruction, not the government. Yeah, yeah, very, very concerned. Um, I mean, I don't really need to explain much. I mean, just look around you. I mean, especially like in like a Piers Morgan, where they're constantly arguing, oh, it's scientific fact. No, it's not based on science. It's based on a religious rhetoric. Um, People always turn to religion when they don't understand. Like we used to prosecute people of science. Churches used to prosecute people of science because they didn't understand and were scared of intelligence. So there's my reasoning there. Teachers are already overextended and underpaid and struggling with large class sizes. That is freaking true. We can't also we can't also ask them to monitor each student's religious practices, teach religious subjects, and deal with any bullying of students for their religion. Very concerned. Absolutely.
The sky's getting lighter. Dawn's coming.
Thank you, Aloy. These are things some Democrats and Texas state legislators are saying. How convincing each of these statements to you? How convincing are they? Texas used to be about common sense, but we've gone too far to the extreme right in recent years. Republicans are so focused on the culture war concerns of their wealthy right-wing donors like divisive bans that they're failing to do basic things like fund our public schools or address higher costs. I'm going to put not too convincing. I put not convincing at all at first. It is a little convincing, but not very much, just because it's been like this for years under both parties' leadership. So even if they say this, history shows that they weren't that helping at all. That's how we got Donald Trump, because people were desperate for someone like to throw a brick at the White House's window. You know, the establishment, break the establishment. Of course, that's all for naught because he is part of the establishment and far worse at that. Um, so I put not too convincing. I agree with the argument, but their actions speak otherwise. I actually pay attention to their actions and not just their words. Texas gave Trump more votes than any other state, but Republican leaders here aren't telling him his plans will hurt us. Texas leaders need to push back on plans to cut the medic to cut to cut to I think they wrote the sentence wrong. Need to push back on plans to cut to Medicare and Social Security to fund tax cuts for billionaires. Yeah, that sentence messed up. Stop tariffs on Mexico from driving up our costs and risking recession, and stop it from slashing programs Texas schools, hospitals, veterans, and farmers rely on. I put very concerning. Texas is rigging in favor of big corporations, billionaires, and corporation landlords, price gouging Texans. Our schools are being funded and our taxes are too high because Republicans are more focused on giving special deals to their wealthy campaign donors. It's time to limit money on politicians so lawmakers will work for ordinary Texans, not just CEOs. I put very convincing. Texas is rich in talent and resources, and we used to do big things. But under Abbott and Republican leadership, Texas is struggling with the basics. We want to stop the frivolous debate, take care of the essentials like funding schools and infrastructure, then do big things we can all be proud of. I put not too convincing, just because I know the history of Texas. I've lived here all my life, and I'm trying to find the right word. Sorry for the long pause. Um, Take care of essentials like school, because I agree with this, but saying that we used to do great things, I guess it's hard for me to say because my life stopped at 21, so I haven't really got to really live in the city. Um, just know that southern states are is a very racist state area of the nation. We used to do great things. In what era is what I would like to ask. Just, I mean, we had an armed protest where we took down Confederate statues, and the reason why the Confederate statues were put up is to make sure that we controlled black people, and we made sure black people knew that the white man was in charge. So, to me, used to do great things, I would have to know under what circumstances do they mean by that. I mean, that's why we got Donald Trump in the first place, because the events that happened in, each state as the nation continued on from even from 1993, where I was born, till now, things have gone progressively worse. So I would love to know what this person or politician meant by used to do great things, but under Abbott, it changed. Um, these are things some Republicans in the Texas state legislature are saying. How convincing is each of these statements to you? So these are Republicans. Texas is booming because of conservative leadership. Our pro-group, low-tax, and pro-energy policies have made this the best place to work and start a business. We will continue to... My throat's starting to get scratchy. Texas miracle by further cutting property taxes, regulations, and wasteful government programs, and giving more support to our oil and gas industry. Not convincing at all.